Hi everyone, my name is Dakshita and I'm your social science educator on Study Room. The chapter that we will be covering in this video is chapter number 3 of your economics chapter, which is named as Poverty as a Challenge. What do you understand by this word? Poverty. What do you think it means? You must have heard the word poor or rich. How do you identify if the particular person is poor or if they are rich? Now, there are several factors for it. In this chapter, we will be covering all the reasons why a person is referred as poor or rich and what are the criteria and what factors and conditions makes a person poor. Okay, for example, let's see, here we have a person. Let's name him as Ram. Okay, and here we have one more person. Let's name him as Suresh. Okay, so Ram and Suresh, people call Ram poor, okay, and people call Suresh rich. Now, what do you think could be the reason? The major reason, the ultimate reason of the gap between rich and poor is of availability of resources. Okay, it's availability of resources. Now, Ram does not have enough resource to survive himself or to suffice himself, but Suresh have resources to survive, or in fact, Suresh have surplus resource, okay, the more than he required to eat, more than he required to sustain. But Ram does not even have the basic resources, okay. That's why the condition of poor is referred to as poverty. In this chapter, we will study how poverty is a challenge in our country. And do you think poverty prevails in our country or not? I think it's quite visible that poverty in our country prevails at a very large scale. Okay, you must have seen people begging on red lights or different areas asking for money. So because the poverty and the condition of poverty, it's more than a problem in our country. Okay, so let's understand this and sensitize over this issue more. Okay, now India is the country with largest concentration of poor. Okay, means that we have more number of people who are referred as poor. Okay, and by the stats we go that every fifth person in India is poor. Okay, which means that poverty level is such high that every fifth person you'll find will be poor. Okay, and population here is a very big problem. Okay, population, it's not just a problem, it's also because of lack of resources in our country that in our country population becomes all the more problems, and population and poverty somewhere are interlinked with each other, that will study. Okay, so as you can see in this image, we have the largest slum of Asia, that is Dharavi in Mumbai. So people living in slums shows what are the conditions of people in our country. Next, we'll study about there are majorly two cases of poverty. Okay, one would be the person living in urban areas. Okay, they live in urban areas, belong to a city or a state, and second is rural areas. Okay, means the person belonging to some rural state or some rural country, some village area. Okay, this is referred to as village area. So first case would be that in urban case, that person will be daily wage laborer. Okay, he works on the daily basis. So for example, this is day 1, day 2, day 3. If he worked on day 1, he will get the money. If he worked on day 2, he will get the money. But if for some reason, if he could not work on day 3, he will not get the money. And the question here is, will he it have the enough, whatever the salary or whatever the remuneration that he gets, is he enough to suffice to survive him or not? Okay, so this is the condition we see in urban areas. In rural areas, condition are little more different, that because these people in rural areas do not have their own land. Okay, they work on somebody else's land who owns the land, who they work on somebody else's land and get whatever the amount is fixed for them. Okay, so this is the condition we study in rural areas, right? So these were two cases of poverty. Now, what are the conclusion? What are the outcomes of poverty? We can say that. Now, what are the reason this happens? Okay, so we'll study it through major 2-3 factors that we'll also discuss in detail in coming slides. Now, poverty can take various dimensions, okay, in rural or in urban areas. How do you find that person is poor? Talking about our character, our protagonist Ram here, how do you know that Ram is poor? Okay, one, it will be very visible to you because of lack of shelter, okay, because he does not have proper home, that's why he comes under poverty. He have hunger, means lack of resources, lack of appetite, nothing to eat makes one person poor, okay. And education or you can say being skilled or trained, okay. Now these are again very important reasons. Unless and until you are skilled, trained or educated in something or the other, nobody will give you a job, okay, which will eventually lead to another factor, which is which is unemployment. Okay, this is unemployment. Now there are various factors although of this, we'll study this. Second is another dimension of poverty is sense of helplessness, okay, that they cannot help themselves. They always required help either from some sort of NGO or some sort of government or administrative help, okay. They cannot survive by themselves, okay. So these were major two conclusions of it. Now we will discuss the following issues, okay, related to poverty, and we will see if that is even a reason for being a person being poor or not. First is landless. Of course, if the person has land, they will not be poor. They will be managed, or they will manage themselves to survive. They will manage food for them and for their families. But if the person is landless and does not have land, for that person it will be become very difficult to generate income, right? So again, yes, being landless is a very important issue of poverty. Second is unemployment. Yes, if the person is unemployed, it basically means lack of income or unable to earn, okay, unable to earn. So that obviously the person will comes under the condition of poverty. So this is again a very important issue. Third is size of families. In India, as we have discussed earlier as well, the population is very high. Okay, so for example, considering our character Ram has 10 to 12 people and the earning member are just 2. Now, do you think the earning of 2 people can suffice the livelihood of 10 to 12 people? So size of families are very big problem. Population is a very big problem in our country, which ultimately leads to poverty. Okay. Next is illiteracy, unskilled labor. So if you do not have enough skill, if you're not educated enough, then your job sector, your opportunities will be limited. Okay. So for example, if you studied just till 12th, you'll have a circle of opportunities, or if you have done masters or PhD, then again you have a circle of of opportunities. But the difference between these two circles will be like very visible. If you have studied just till 12th, your circle will be short. Circle of opportunities, okay, here we're talking about, it's about opportunities. If you have done your masters or PhD, the circle of opportunities will be more. There are more things that you can do, and ultimately more earnings that you can do through it, right? Next is poor health and malnutrition. This is interlinked with poverty. If the person is poor, they cannot afford medication or proper nutrition, right? If the person is poor or malnutrition, means ultimately that the person is somewhere very poor. Okay, so again, proper health and malnutrition are very important factors. Last second is child labor. Child labor is, again, although it is banned by law, it has been made illegal by our government. But then again, there are various places where child labor still prevails at a very, very high level. Now, what are the reasons of high child labor? Again, these all reasons are enough to tell that why a child is forced to do some work, because the family requires income, and as soon as the child becomes capable of doing something, they want him or her um, to earn, okay, so that they can help in sufficing the need of the family. All right. Next point, helplessness, it's exactly the same point which we have discussed in previous slide, which is that person is always in need of constant help. They cannot help themselves. Whatever their condition is, they always need somebody or third person to help them, okay, be it government, NGO, or anybody. Coming to next slide. Now, let's analyze by social scientists, okay. Poverty analyzed by social scientists. So, people who analyze poverty are called social scientists. Now, let us analyze it and find out the reason of it, okay. What is the main root problem of poverty, okay. One is very, very simple: lack of income and consumption, which leads to poverty, okay. If you're unemployed, do not have income, do not have money, obviously the person will be considered in the condition of poor, right? Second is, now social scientists have broadened this analyze by including social indicators, okay. What are social indicators? Social indicators are basically, in other words, can say social evils. For example, crime rates, okay, crime rate, health, health manufacturers, okay, or all other social evils, okay, be it in any form, be it biasness, be it gender biasness or casteism, they all are social indicators. Now, these social indicators also become a very, very crucial to understand the poverty analysis, okay. Yes, third and the most important thing here is social exclusion. Okay, let's understand what is social exclusion. Our society, our Hindu society, from our past, from Vedas, have been divided into 4 different parts. We all are aware of these parts. These are Brahmins in the very first or topmost, and then Kshatriya, then Vaishya, and then Shudra. Okay, Shudras and people below Shudras are considered as lower caste. Okay, lower caste, and people above are considered as upper caste. Okay, now sadly casteism still prevails in our country, and upper caste, means Brahmins and everybody, has suppressed lower caste for more than 1,000 years, and they have been denied to resources, they have been denied to resources, they have been denied to education, they have been denied to many other things. So upper caste have intentionally in the history have not given Shudras and people belonging to lower caste not enough right. You have seen such movies like Article 15 or who deal with such problem. So again, now this lower caste become a very vulnerable caste, okay, vulnerable section of our society. For example, women, you must have aware of it, that women have been denied to most of the resources, education, and in fact being in public for the longest time. That's why we need more women representation. That's why feminism prevails in our society. Okay, so these people, lower caste, women, they become vulnerable section of the society, and that they become a reason, they become a factor of analyzing into poverty, because you will find many lower caste people still involved in sectors. For example, manual scavenging. Okay, manual scavenging is the people Manual scavengers are the people who clean our pots. Okay, you will never find the upper caste doing it. Okay, you will always find any lower caste people doing it, and we believe that this is their job. Okay, so again, casteism itself is a very big topic. So this is a major broadly briefing you about the social exclusion. You can study through, there are many very beautiful documentaries, like in Scoop Whoop there is documentary called manual scavenging. You can understand more about the social exclusion part and why this strata still needs a lot of government support. Okay, so these are major reasons. Now, how do you understand what difference we make between Ram and Suresh? What difference we made? Okay, this was a difference of line. This was a difference of line which can be measured in different ways. Okay, there was difference in their resources, right? So Ram's bar of resources was very low, and Suresh bar of resources were higher than required. Okay, so this line is basically called poverty line. Okay, poverty line is one of the is a way basically to understand the to understand what exactly, on what level poverty is there. Okay, for example, if the person is poor or not, we can understand by through learning, by we can understand it by learning through the poverty line. Okay, so poverty line is basically, it's a imaginary line which estimates the minimum level of consumption necessary to fulfill the basic need. Okay, that minimum level necessary to fulfill the basic need, and anybody who falls under it will consider poor. Okay, for example, this bar is poverty line, and obviously Ram is below the poverty line, so it's difficult for him to survive, and that's how we get to know that he is poor, because he's below poverty line. And Suresh is coming from well-off background, and have more than in poverty line, so of course he does not require any help. Okay, so let's understand this poverty line in India and world. So it is different in rural and urban areas. So in rural areas, it is 24,000 calorie one day, and expenditure of would be 4,080 per month. But in urban areas, it is 2,100 calorie one day, and expenditure should be 5,000 per month. Okay, so if Ram is able to get only 3,000 per month, and his consumption of calorie is like 1,900 per day, so he falls under poverty line. Okay, NSSO, National Sample Survey Organization, is an organization that conducts survey to determine the poverty line in India. Okay, so now this is what they do for India and for world. So World Bank has set a global standard. Okay, so every country has their own poverty line, but then again, globally it has been set to $1.90 per person per day. Okay, so that's how we measure the poverty line. Now we'll discuss some few questions. Question 1 is, why do different countries use different poverty lines? Now, what do you think could be the reason why different countries use different poverty line? Think about it, I'm sure you'll get one. One is difference in diet. Okay, difference in diet, or you can say difference in condition. Okay, difference in dietary habit. Okay, different in dietary habit, different human race. Definitely, that's one of a reason. If different human race means there are people of different size, you will see. Okay, so I'm sorry, I thought I'd drawn some identical people, plus let's find them different from each other. They are like different people. Okay, so yeah, so people, they are coming from different race, from different countries, right? So their dietary habit will be different. Okay, so that's why we cannot measure all the people coming from different background and different eating habits on same scale. Maybe people living in Asia eats or like high calories, but people in America or continental areas, they eat less calories. Okay, so these are another reason. Also could be cost of essential thing. Okay, or price or cost of essential things or material or product, whatever. Okay, so for example, in India it's very less, or maybe, or but maybe in other countries it's very high. Okay, so cost of essential things also makes poverty line different in every country. So I hope you get this question. Now moving to question number 2. What do you think would be the minimum necessary level in your locality? Now this is a question, it's an observant question. You'll have to observe in your locality and see what would be the minimum consumption one take. Is it too less or is it high according to your locality, or whatever it is. Okay. So you'll have to observe and see what kind of people are there and how much they consume. Okay, right. So this is an observant question that you have to do. Now we'll study the poverty estimate. Okay, so poverty estimate is basically how, like, what has happened. Has the poverty ratio has increased or it has decreased? Well, it has declined. Like in 1994 it was 45%, but in 2011 and in 2011 this has reached to 22%. Okay, so from 45 to 22%, yes, it has declined, which is again a very good uh, report. But do you think that's enough or it's not enough? Let's find out. Okay, so we have like proper data from 1993 to 2012 to study it, and urban ratio would be different than the rural ratio, obviously, because of all the reasons we have discussed, because there are things that are different in urban and different in rural areas. Okay, so in this part we see poverty ratio percentage, and here we see number of people. Okay, so it's literal version of the percentage. Okay, so 1993 to 94 it was 45 percentage, which means approx 404 million people. But if we compare it to 2011 and 12, it was 22 percentage, which is 270 people. So obviously the data from 404 million people to 270 million has declined. Okay, so this is how the poverty estimate is. Okay, but in 2004 and 5 we see that it is 37%, but the number of people are more. Okay, means the percentage is somewhere decreased, but number of people have not decreased. Now what could be the reason that percentage has been decreased but not number of people? Again, population is very important factor here. Population is the only reason why percentage has declined, but number of people are not declining. Okay, next we'll study the same estimations through the bar graph, which is, we can see from here, the red is million of people and blue is the percentage, poverty percentage. Okay, we see it little declining, which is again a very good thing that we are on the verge of declining it, but still I personally feel it's a long way to go. Okay, now let's discuss few questions here. Let's brainstorm it and see whether you have understood or whatever I've taught or not. First question is, even if poverty ratio declined between 1993, 94, 2004, 5, why did number of people at about 407 million? The percentage has declined, but not the number of people. Why? Because of high population. Okay, because of high population, or because of the high number of population. Okay, rate of population being high. Okay, I'm sorry. Yes. Rate of population being high. I apologize for not so beautiful R. Okay. Yes, this is our first question. Next question which you have to brainstorm is, are the dynamics of poverty reduction same in rural and urban India? Do you think our dynamics of reduction is same as it was in rural or India or in urban India? Let's study it again. We got the total number here. We have discussed the total number here, but if we discuss rural and urban individually, we see some differences. Okay, so again, they are not equal. 217 million people and 53 million people are not same. Okay, so no, the dynamics are not same as it is in the dynamics are not same. The dynamics of poverty reduction in same is not same in rural and urban India. All right. Now we'll discuss about vulnerable groups. Now vulnerable groups are vulnerable. Meaning of vulnerable means weak. These are the people who needs external support, external quotas for their representation, for the upliftment of the society or upliftment of particular their section. Okay, so few example people or the sections who come under vulnerable groups are again women, most important, lower caste, again most important, economically backward. Okay, economically backward, and lower caste means socially backward, LGBTQ community. Okay, so these are some vulnerable groups who become easy to target by rest of the society and require some external support. Okay, so in this bar graph, you study the proportion of poor people different across different social and economic group. Okay, so here we'll see some of the people who need help. So we have scheduled tribes, scheduled caste, average Indian poverty ratio, casual farm laborer, rural and non-farm means it's part of something urban. Okay, so scheduled and scheduled caste have got more than 40 percentage for social groups in social economic categories. Means these are the people which it's like on most high level of vulnerable group, and average Indian are on low level of vulnerable group. Okay, so you must have seen when admissioning for college, for schools, there is a quota of ST, SC, and then general, right? So we have quota of ST, SC. Now you understand why this quota is essential, because of their representation, which is still very, very less. Okay. Now, here are a few observatory questions that you have to observe around you and find it out. So you have to observe poor families around you and find out these things about them. Which social or economic group do they belong to? Do they belong to socially backward group, or do they belong to economically backward group? Who is the earning member in the family? And the number of people that member salary is sufficing to. Okay, what is the condition of old people in the family? Why this question? Because old people requires more attention in terms of medication, right? So their conditions, are they being provided all the medication or the medical help that is required at the age, or no? Okay, somebody who can support their parents for expensive medicines and expensive treatments, of course their parents will be good, right? And if somebody who could not afford the medication of their families or medication of the old people in their house, their condition will not be that good. Okay, are all the children attending school? So this shows us two things. Okay, first is importance of education, that the family understand that it's important for children to attempt school, and are they going to school, are they attending the school or not. Okay, second, it shows the condition. Okay, means under what condition are they in condition to send their children on schools or even not. Okay, so these are some observatory questions that you will have to observe from your surroundings. Right. So that's it in this video. We will continue the chapter in the next video.